Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates the Vizhinjam International Seaport in Kerala. And he highlights coastal states and ports as key drivers of India's growth. Pakistan-backed hackers try to breach Indian websites. Repeated hacking attempts have been foiled by India. And cricket commentator Ravi Shastri calls Waves a fantastic initiative. He highlights the role of audiovisual technology in sports. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the southern state of Kerala and dedicated to the nation the Vizhinjam International Deepwater Multipurpose Seaport. It's worth 8,900 crore rupees. It's the country's first, in fact, dedicated container transshipment port that represents the transformative advancements being made in India's maritime sector as part of the unified vision of Viksit Bharat.
इस सी पोर्ट को 8,800 करोड़ रुपीस की लागत से तैयार किया गया है। अभी इस ट्रांसशिपमेंट हब की जो क्षमता है वो भी आने वाले समय में बढ़कर के 3 गुनी हो जाएगी। यहां दुनिया के बड़े मालवाहक जहाज आसानी से आ सकेंगे। अभी तक भारत का 75% ट्रांसशिपमेंट भारत के बाहर के पोर्ट पर होता था। इससे देश को बहुत बड़ा रेवेन्यू लॉस होता आया है। ये परिस्थिति अब बदलने जा रही है। अब देश का पैसा देश के काम आएगा। जो पैसा बाहर जाता था वो केरला और विजिंजम के लोगों के लिए नई इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटीज लेकर आएगा।
The Prime Minister dedicated the Vizhinjam International Deepwater Multipurpose Sea project. It's worth, as we said, 8,900 crore rupees to the nation. Let's tell you about its features now. India's first dedicated container transshipment port marks a significant milestone in the country's maritime infrastructure, aligning with the Viksit Bharat vision for a developed and self-reliant nation. Boasting a natural deep draft of nearly 20 meters, the port is strategically located just 10 nautical miles from the key international shipping routes that connect Europe, the Persian Gulf and the Far East, and it's positioned near one of the world's busiest sea trade corridors. It is set to play a crucial role in enhancing India's logistics efficiency as well as reducing dependence on foreign ports and cargo transshipment. The advancement not only boosts India's maritime capabilities, it also strengthens its position in global trade by establishing a more competitive and self-sustained transshipment ecosystem. Well, in a landmark visit to Andhra Pradesh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated and dedicated to the nation railway projects aimed at enhancing connectivity and boosting capacity. The Prime Minister laid the foundation stone for various development projects in the state. Among the key initiatives are 7 national highway projects aimed at improving connectivity and boosting economic growth in the region. Additionally, the construction of the missile test range at Nagaya Lanka, it's valued at around 1,460 crore rupees. Prime Minister also laid the foundation stone of the PM Ekta Mall in Visakhapatnam. It has been envisioned with the objective of fostering national integration, supporting the Make in India initiative.
भारत की ताकत सिर्फ हमारे हथियार ही नहीं है, बल्कि हमारी एकता भी है। एकता का यही भाव हमारे एकता मॉल्स में मजबूत होता है। देश के अनेकों शहरों में एकता मॉल्स बनाए जा रहे हैं। मुझे खुशी है कि अब विशाखापट्टनम में भी एकता मॉल बनेगा। इस एकता मॉल में देश भर के कारीगरों, हस्तशिल्पियों के बड़े प्रोडक्ट एक ही छत के नीचे मिलेंगे। ये भारत की डायवर्सिटी से सबको जोड़ेगा। एकता मॉल से लोकल इकोनॉमी को भी गति मिलेगी।
In a continued wave of cyber offensives, Pakistan-sponsored hacker groups such as cyber group Hawks 1337 and the National Cyber Crew, they attempted to breach several Indian websites on Friday. However, India's cybersecurity agencies swiftly detected and neutralized these hacking efforts, ensuring the security and sensitive digital infrastructure remains that way. But these attempts, they follow repeated efforts by Pakistan-based hackers to target websites linked to vulnerable sections of society. These include children and veterans. Among the affected platforms was the website of the Army Institute of Hotel Management and the Indian Air Force veterans. Cybersecurity experts suggest that these incidents, they demonstrate Pakistan's intent to escalate digital tensions through persistent cyber intrusions. On April 22, 2025, India was shaken by a brutal terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir that left 28 people dead. The attack was carried out by LET terrorists. Now, more and more leaders across the world are condemning the attack.
US Vice President J.D. Vance has said in a TV interview that the United States hopes that Pakistan will ensure that terrorists operating in their territory are hunted down and dealt with
in a way that doesn't lead to a broader regional conflict. And we hope, frankly, that Pakistan, to the extent that they're responsible, cooperates with India to make sure that the terrorists, sometimes operating in their territory, are hunted down and dealt with. That's how we hope this unfolds. We're obviously in close contact. We'll see what happens.
This is not the only time when US officials and leaders have firmly stood by India and rejected Pakistani false narratives on the Pahalgam attack. US President Trump was quick to condemn the attack, expressing his outrage over the loss of innocent lives. He shared his support for India, reassuring the country that America stood firmly behind it. Tulsi Gabbard, the US Director of National Intelligence, also sent her condolences on social media, offering prayers for the victims' families. She promised that the United States would support India in its efforts to find those responsible for the attack. The House Foreign Affairs Committee, a key group in the US politics, took to social media to criticize the New York Times over its reporting of the dastardly attack. They pointed out the newspaper had referred to the attackers as militants instead of calling them terrorists. The committee made it clear this was a terrorist attack. In a press briefing, US State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce refused to entertain a Pakistani journalist's question about the possibility of President Trump mediating between India and Pakistan. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio also called on Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and spoke of the need to condemn the terror attack on April 22nd in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. Same day, Rubio called External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and expressed his sorrow for the loss of lives in the horrific terrorist attack in Pahalgam. He also reaffirmed United States' commitment to cooperation with India against terrorism. The US has made it clear more than once that it stands firmly with India in the fight against terrorism. Shobhit Chandola's report for DD India.
Well, Pakistan continues unprovoked ceasefire violations along the LOC and Jammu's international border. The Indian Army responded proportionately. So these violations follow India's measures after the Pahalgam terror attack that killed 26 civilians in Baisaran Meadow. And many Pakistani nationals were stranded at Atari border as Pakistan kept its gates closed. Now, India has extended their departure deadline until further notice, allowing exits via the integrated checkpost at Atari with due clearance. So far, over 1,800 Indians have returned home from Pakistan through the Atari border. And on the other hand, more than 950 Pakistani nationals have returned from India through the Atari-Wagah border. As of now, a total of 2,794 people have crossed the border following the Government of India's directive. Angola President João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço arrived on a three-day visit to India. President Lourenço, he was going to be receiving a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, followed by talks with President Draupadi Murmu at a banquet in his honor. This is going to happen tomorrow, and he will also hold delegation-level talks and discussions with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who will host a luncheon. Several MOUs are also expected to be signed, which will strengthen bilateral ties. This marks Lourenço's first state visit to India and the first by an Angolan president in 38 years, coinciding with 40 years of diplomatic relations. Both nations share warm ties. They also support each other in global forums, including in the United Nations. Let's take a look at other stories making news from around the world. Switzerland's Basel, it gets ready now to host Eurovision Song Contest 2025. This is from the 12th through the 17th of May. The semi-finals of the 69th edition will be held on the 13th and the 15th of May, while the grand finale, or the final, is going to take place at St. Jacob's Shale. This is on the 17th of May. A loggerhead turtle patched with a GPS tracker was released into the Atlantic Ocean by marine biologists off the Canary Islands on Friday. The turtle, it was rescued in October last year, and loggerhead turtles, they have now become, relatively scarce. They have low reproductive rates, and they lay an average of 4 egg clutches and may not lay eggs again for 2 to 3 years. So trouble, keeping them alive. Vatican gears up for the historical congregation of over 100 cardinals, which is scheduled to start from May 7th. What's happening is that this upcoming ballot is going to be deciding the next pope, who's going to be the successor of Pope Francis, who passed away on the 21st of April. Still to come here on DD India Live. China evaluates a US offer for negotiations on tariffs. Heavy rainfall is expected in Assam, Meghalaya, Karnataka and Kerala. The residents have been advised to stay prepared. Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. The Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu confirmed an attack near Syria's presidential palace in Damascus early on Friday, reiterating his vow to protect members of the Druze community. Now, this marks the second Israeli strike in as many days amid sectarian violence. Israel's strikes, they have further complicated the interim president Ahmed al-Shahara's efforts to stabilize the country. Earlier on Wednesday, in Syria's southern province of Shweda, in the heartland of the Druze minority, 40 Druze fighters were killed, with 35 dying in an ambush on the road to Damascus. Nigel Farage's populist right-wing Reform UK party secured a parliamentary seat in northwest England on Friday, winning by the slimmest of margins in UK parliamentary by-election history. the Reform candidate Sarah Pochin. She defeated the Labour candidate by a mere 6 votes in the Runcorn and Helsby area. So the Labour Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who had won a large majority in Parliament in the last summer, one of the biggest in history, he has in fact experienced the most rapid decline in popularity of any newly elected government. U.S. manufacturing fell for the second consecutive month in April as tariffs on imported goods stretched supply chains, keeping factory gate prices high and driving some firms to lay off workers. A study released on Thursday by the Institute of Supply Management revealed that manufacturing index slipped to 48.7% in April, a touch below its level in March, as well as below the 50-point mark separating expansion from contraction. So the survey has covered Trump's Liberation Day tariff announcement, which ushered in sweeping duties on more imported goods into the United States from the United States' trade partners, including raising duties on Chinese goods to 145%, sparking a trade war with Beijing. There was no sign in the survey that factories continued to front-run imports last month, though the fear of higher prices from tariffs could have prompted businesses to get in their order sooner. After months of bluster and huge tariffs on both sides, Beijing and the Trump administration are softening their stance. China said that it is evaluating a U.S. offer for negotiations on tariffs, but has wanted Washington to show sincerity and be ready to scrap levies that have roiled the global markets as well as supply chains. Now, punishing U.S. tariffs have reached 145% on many Chinese products that came into force in April, while Beijing has responded with fresh 125% tariffs on imports from the United States. Beijing's Commerce Ministry on Friday confirmed that the U.S. had reached out to it and that it was currently evaluating the offer, but the Chinese exports had soared more than 12% in March as businesses rushed to get ahead of these horrible tariffs. Now, Tokyo's envoy for U.S. tariff talks in Washington, Akazawa, has said that the second round of negotiations between the two countries had been frank and constructive on Thursday. Japan, which is a key ally of the United States, said that it's also the biggest investor into that country, said that it's subject, in fact, to the same 10% baseline tariffs imposed on most nations, plus steeper levies also on cars, steel and aluminium. Akazawa stated that the progress was made towards a mutually beneficial deal, which would be presented as a package once finalized. In early April, the Trump administration had announced 24% reciprocal tariffs on Japan, but they had paused them for 90 days. The U.S. President Donald Trump is set to present his budget proposal for 2026 fiscal year today, and his address will comprise plans on the major spending, also on economic forecasts. So while Congress will have the final call on the budget, Trump seeks to slash significant taxes, and he also proposes the $1 trillion military budget. He cites that tariffs will help offset costs. Trump's plan also includes about $160 billion in slashing in the areas of environment, education, as well as foreign aid programs. As the Republicans engage in resolving international disagreements over federal spending to pass a tax cut bill by July 4, Trump's public engagements, followed by the budget proposal, pose a bold approach towards the country's economy. President Donald Trump's administration asked the U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday to intervene in its bid to strip temporary protected status for more than 300,000 Venezuelan migrants. A United States' judge on Thursday issued a permanent injunction preventing the administration of President Donald Trump from using the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport Venezuelans from South Texas. It follows similar, if temporary, orders barring the government's use of the law as Trump seeks the rapid removal of undocumented immigrants from the United States. Trump had issued an executive proclamation on March 15 to invoke the law against members of the Venezuelan gang, the Tren de Aragua. And he also argued that Tren de Aragua, they were perpetrating an invasion of the predatory incursion of the United States. They were perpetrating invasion of and predatory incursion into the United States, thereby justifying these extreme measures. Now, the Vatican workers have hoisted the chimney on top of the roof of the Sistine Chapel. They did so on Friday ahead of the next papal conclave. The rust-colored pipe, it's fixed atop the 15th century chapel, and it's going to be used to burn ballots during the secret vote to elect the new pope. The conclave begins on May 7 with the cardinals sequestered inside as they choose the next leader of the 1.4 billion member Catholic Church. Black smoke from the chimney will signal a zero decision or no decision, while white smoke will announce the election of the 267th Pope. The chimney is visible from nearby St. Peter's Square, where crowds are expected to watch for the historic signal. India's weather agency has issued warnings for severe weather conditions across several states. Residents in Assam, Meghalaya, as well as South Interior Karnataka and Kerala are going to brace themselves for thunderstorms accompanied by heavy rainfall at isolated places. Meanwhile, a thunder squall is also very likely to impact isolated areas of western Uttar Pradesh, South Interior Karnataka, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Vidarbha and Chhattisgarh. Furthermore, the IMD has also forecast thunderstorms accompanied by hailstorms at isolated places over Himachal Pradesh, East Madhya Pradesh and Vidarbha. Let's get you updates from the WAVE Summit in Mumbai. Well, at WAVE's, a session called Intersection of Sports, Technology, Entrepreneurship and Media. The cricket legend, who's now a famous commentator, Ravi Shastri, called the summit a fantastic initiative and also highlighted the role of technology in sports.
It's a fantastic initiative, Waves. You know, the reason I say it, because my life is a wave. You know, you get a 0, you create waves. You get 100, you create waves. So we've been riding waves right through our lives, right? And I've seen this game evolve. And each one of the players here are part of it. To see where cricket has gone over the last 40, 45 years. Technology has done for the sport is unbelievable. I mean, today a player can go back and watch himself 100 times. You know, there'll be enough replays showing what he's done right, what he's done wrong. There's technology there to go even more into detail, to tell you more about your opponent, to tell you more about yourself, to tell you more about your strengths, your weaknesses, to then take on opposition wherever it exists and kill them.
And the Bollywood actor Mithun Chakraborty attended the second day of WAVES 2025 in Mumbai on Friday. And he spoke to the DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj. And the actor said that it's a great vision of the Prime Minister. Let's listen.
WAVES, I think it's a great vision of our beloved Prime Minister. And Ashwini ji and unke साथ Jaji साहब and Mr. Fadnavis, Sindhu साहब and Ajit Pawar साहब and the people behind it. It's a grand show, grand show. मतलब इतना बड़ा, इतनी बड़ी चीजें हो जाएगी, हम लोगों ने कोई नहीं सोचा. It's going to be big, bigger than big.
And the CEO of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, also took part in the WAVES Summit, which is in Mumbai. And speaking to DD India, Mosseri said that it was exciting and invigorating to be part of this event. He also hoped that Instagram would help in supporting Indian creativity.
I have with me the CEO of Instagram, Adam Mosseri. Hi, Adam. Tell us about how do you like Waves as a platform, and especially in terms of collaboration, because there are too many collaborations going on Instagram as well.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'll say it's been really exciting and invigorating to be here. I think the vision around embracing and supporting creativity in India and helping it spread around the world is inspiring, and we're hoping that Instagram as a global platform can help play a part in supporting that.
Lots and lots of collaborators are coming, and you also have had a meeting with certain collaborators. What are their views? What are your views? How are you planning to collaborate with other collaborators who are coming from around the world?
I'm always looking to get more feedback from creators who use our platform about what's working and what's not. Generally speaking, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback and some critical feedback as well. I think that's healthy. Opportunities for us to improve our experiences, improve our applications around creative tools, ranking, and more. So I'll take that feedback back to America, and hopefully we can work on that and continue to improve.
How do you see the vision of Waves by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi?
I mean, the vision, as far as I can see, or from where I stand, is about helping Indian culture not only be enjoyed and appreciated here in India, but around the world. And I think that is an audacious ambition and an inspiring one. And there have been a few countries who have done that over history. And I think if anyone's going to be able to do that over the next decade or so, I think it's going to be India.
One message to the youth who are using Instagram and people who wants to be on Instagram more and more.
Instagram is about creativity. It's about connecting with your friends about your interests and those creative interests. And so I think try to make sure you are thoughtful about how you use the product. Hopefully talk to your parents about it as well. Make sure you understand who you're interacting with and where they are, and stay safe.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. Available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code and download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lynn. Thank you for being with us here on DD India Live. Namaskar.